It is your classic metal show right here on the classicmetalshow.com. That is Marco Mendoza from his latest release called Viva La Rock. And the name of that tune there is called Rocket Man, which I particularly found kind of a curious tune right there. And with us on Skype video, we've got our good friend and bassist and journeyman musician, Marco Mendoza. Hey, Marco, welcome to the Classic Metal Show again after all these years.
I know it's good to be back, Wendell. I'm flattered that you take the time. Little on me.
Well, Marco, last time I ran into you, I hung out with you for a few minutes at the Allstate Arena here in Chicago during the Whitesnake tour. You and Dokken were playing together. I think this was like 2003 or something like that.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wow, that's great.
I was happy to, meet you in person and get to talk to you a little bit. And, I was always flattered by the fact that you remembered who I was and the fact that you would come on the Classic Metal Show. And, the thing about you, Marco, is that you are a journeyman musician who's had an opportunity to play with some of the greatest people in music, as far as I'm concerned. But not only that, you have taken the opportunity to go out there and stand on your own as a solo musician. I guess, I don't know if you want to call Viva La Rock solo, but you are working with other great musicians. And, the thing is what I want to know from you, Marco, and we'll talk about the other things that's going on in your life. But what I want to know from a guy like you who has had the opportunity to play with, obviously Whitesnake and most recently the Dead Daisies and whatnot, what makes a guy like you try to branch out on your own in this day and age when there's very little support out there from a commercial aspect to, work and promote and play solo material?
The bottom line, Wendell, I'm one of those lucky guys, and I consider myself very, very lucky, very fortunate that earlier in life, at 14, 15, when I was playing with garage bands with my brother, it became an obsession, and very compulsive, very obsessive about a lot of things in life, including alcohol and drugs, which, I just celebrated 32 years of sobriety, except I'm 20. That's another interview. But I fell madly and passionately in love with music in every aspect. So, not only a fan, we collected vinyl, we collected cassettes in those days, and even 8 tracks before that, and la 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 la. I grew up in a musical family. My grandmother was a piano teacher. When my parents separated, my mom was she was an established singer in Mexico with 2 of her sisters. They had singles on the charts and all that. My father was a clarinet player. He was into big band. So the point is that I was surrounded by music from very young. I mean, I was boom, boom. My mom went to the musicals. She was heavy into the musicals and the Kroners and the Billie Holiday and the big singers, Sarah Vaughan. And my dad was into the, Benny Goodman, Glenn Miller, the big band stuff. And my grandma, when she came over, they separated. We stayed with my dad. My grandma came in and she was a piano teacher, so she brought her piano. And that's when I really started getting, she's the reason why I play music today, because she taught me how to appreciate, how to listen to music. She was hoping that one of us would follow the classical training that she had to offer, and my sister did to some degree. But I was going in there and I fell madly in love with music. I was that awkward kid that I couldn't find my place in life. I was terrible at sports. I was always the kid in the sidelines, awkward and freckles, and I had buck teeth then, and I felt just, one of those kids that just didn't belong anywhere. And my brother got a guitar for his birthday, and he played it for a little bit, and then it started laying around, and I started grabbing it with a book, a Mel Bay book of chords, and I I found it really entertaining, and it was very cool for me. I found my space. I could learn chords and spend a lot of time with myself learning, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 chords, whatever, and variations thereof. And then I realized, wow, I can play some of these songs with only 3 chords. So that was the beginning. And I know it's a long answer, but just to give you an idea, I just fell head over heels in love with music in every aspect. And I still love it. I still love the fact that you can go into the studio, come up with some songs, man, and record them. And then I'm very lucky that I know some of the cream of the crop in the industry, and I can call them and say, hey, can you come play? Sure, and then you put it out. And even if there's low numbers for my solos, that's my third album, by the way, Live for Tomorrow, Casa Mendoza, and Viva La Rock now. The satisfaction that you get when you go and I'm playing little clubs, and you go there and the audience, the fans are singing your lyrics and they're all into it, and it's like, wow, and then you do the meet and greet. For me, it doesn't get any better. And of course, I would love to play in bigger venues. And I'm going there without sounding pretentious. I know I'm going to get there. So I'm doing when I'm given a little bit of time on the side away from the bigger projects that are already out there doing the festivals and the arenas and the stadiums and all the big show. I will do this. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me growing. It allows me to be teachable, which is very important to me. I never want to think that I know it all, because once you do that, it's the beginning of the end. And music, if you really get honest, it's ad infinitum. Music is just ever growing, ever changing, ever challenging, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction, man, to do that. To be honest, it's hard work, and now that I'm getting older, I'm paying for it, But I just want to keep going. Whenever there's time in front of me, and I see 2, 3, 4 months away from the bigger projects. Recently, it's been the Dead Daisies, and we worked a lot with the Dead Daisies. I always found time to record, to release something, and now these days it's coming down to singles, and I'm very grateful that I've had the opportunity and the journey that I've had in the music business to have played with these big bands, because that's what gave me the profile, right, to allow me to book these gigs, because people kind of know who I am, where from, and what I've been doing, but they're very curious, and they show up and they're still like, oh, wow, we didn't know you could sing. We didn't know you wrote songs. We didn't know you fronted your own band. So I love the challenge of it all. And and sometimes it's disappointing. It's not always gratifying, but I'm willing to take that chance. And I'm willing to jump off the cliff whenever I'm given the opportunity, Wendell. And that's my nature. I have it in me. It's in my DNA to take chances.
Right.
And so these past couple of years for my solo career, and it is solo career because it's not a band. I go out there and I try to recruit the best musicians I can, and some of them are brilliant, man, like talented cats that are not even on the map, on the radar, but they're talented. And I learned so much from them, and we have a great time. And building that career away from the other career, if you will. It's getting to the point where I can always go out there and book. I mean, this year I've done 70 shows so far, 70 something. I'm on my way to Europe in 3 days to do another 30 or something through December. So the short answer is I love the challenge, and right. I love the idea that you can grow and keep moving forward. That's it. You can keep moving forward, So.
Right. Well, the key, obviously, Marco, not only is it talent and desire and drive and good music and the ability to perform, as well as have a chemistry with your bandmates, is money. Money is always the key, and that seems to be the dividing line between success and failure, unfortunately, for a lot of guys, because they
measure it that well. Yeah, exactly.
Of course. So the greatest musician out there could be overlooked because he didn't have the money or the backing or the funds to, be noticed or get the promotion or whatnot. So how do you overcome that as a solo artist with Viva La Rock?
I've learned so much. I've learned from the best cats out there. I've learned from the tour managers, from techs. I have a lot of information, and I apply it. It's like, on the business side, I want to go out there and bring home a profit, because every time I leave my home, I leave my kids, my wife. It's challenging, and you're compromising a side of your life that's pretty important to me anyway. Family is very important to me, the utmost, But so you have ways of cutting corners. For example, I'll tell you what I started doing about 3-4 years ago. I realized that carrying equipment and backline was very expensive.
Right.
Right. So knowing that there's a lot of bands out there that don't have the vehicle to play shows because they're not known. There's a lot of great bands, bro, everywhere around the world. So, for example, if I'm going to Germany and I have an agent that I'm talking to, sometimes I book the shows myself. I talk to them. I said, you know what? I heard this band from Germany and I heard that band from Germany. That's where online is to your advantage, because there's all the information's there. And I'm going, these guys haven't done a show in 2-3 months. Let's approach them and see if they can open up for me, right? It gives them the vehicle to play in front of an audience and book a show and provide the backline. I don't want them to pay. I don't want money from them. If they can provide the backline and and move the backline from gig to gig to gig, set it up, break it down. That's all I need from them, and it's working. So a lot of the larger expense is cut. That's out of the equation right away. And you'd be surprised how many bands take that opportunity. That when you get to the bigger levels, there's like a little pay to play kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a trade-off.
Yeah, trade-off. And so, having come from that place, I don't ever want to take money from cats like that. But I do want to support bands that are serious about what they're doing. They're committed. I've taken a few bands out there that were brilliant, but we did 10 shows and then they went home and then did nothing. And it's like, what happened, man? They invited you. I introduced them to management. I introduced them to the agencies. So after let's say I finish my little run, I go back to the Dead Daisies to do that tour. They have an opportunity to continue, to keep booking things or come back 3, 4, 5 months later. And for some reason or another, they didn't. So it's like, it's wasted energy, wasted opportunity. But I'm trying to be careful about who I bring. There's a cat that I met in the Chicago area, Illinois area, and he was very instrumental in me playing shows there, because he's, we're all musicians, man. We're all ambitious, and we're all freaking playing music because we love it, And so he put it up to me. He says, Marco, they opened up for the Daisies. He says, Marco, when are you coming to the U.S. with your Viva La Rock album? It's great. I love it, man. I love your career. You got to come play some of your solo things, man. And I'm like, well, to be honest, the U.S. market is getting harder and harder. And I haven't found the right agent or management, to kind of go out there and get these things together for me. So he says, well, I know a lot of people in the state of Illinois and the surrounding area. And what do you think if I make some phone calls, see what I can find, And I said, absolutely. And he didn't even suggest that they would open up for me. And I said, I love your band. Why don't we do that? And in return, you can come and open up for me and do these gigs, supply the backline, and everybody's helping each other. So it's working. That formula seems to be working, and it works all over the world. In the UK, I met a few bands that do the same thing, bro. In Germany, I'm on my way to Denmark, and I'm on my way to Romania, Italy, France, and it's the same thing. So it's a trade-off. On the financial side, you got to find a way. also to cut corners somewhere else. Um, I've been able to recruit musicians that I try to take care of them as much as I can, but I'm real with them. And I said, listen, guys, I'm going to do 40 shows. This is what I can pay you. You know, we're going to leave for 6 weeks or, you know, whatever, or 5 weeks. And this is what you can bring home. And they go, great, because otherwise we don't have any work at home. And, you know, so it's a trade-off. And you come across the musicians that are really in it. They're committed, you know. I find a lot of young cats, man, out there that are really in it for the right reason, for the music, you know. They're not in it for the lifestyle. They're not in it to, you know, for the, you know, the financial gain. They're not in it for the fame and the fortune. They're in it to play music, and we have a blast. So it works out. I've been able to. The other key, and you well know, is merch. You know, I started doing the merch not too long ago. For me, it was like, I don't know, I don't want to. Like, you want to go play, you know? And I started realizing that there was an opportunity there because the fans want to buy your CDs, and now we have vinyl. You know, I have a compilation CD, I have T-shirts, la la la, and it's a little bit of work, but it's paying off. So I'm very clear about it, you know, with everybody. I'm not getting rich, but I come home with a little bit of profit, and if I needed to, in my heart, in my gut, I know if I needed to, and everything all else failed, I could book my shows and support my family. So there you go. It
Right.
works, you know. You just gotta be hungry, bro. And I'm
Yeah.
still very hungry and very thirsty. You
Right.
find ways, you know.
Well,
So
we've had a lot of veteran musicians on the show over the last 25 years of doing this show, and you know,
sure,
we've often questioned, you know, guys like you know, you've been a part of, you know, many different projects with different people and different musicians. And what separates guys like you who are successful journeymen who, you know, who've had an opportunity to land gigs with other people as well as do your own things is reliability and the fact that you're not a flake, you know, because
yeah,
there's a lot of guys out there who end up in various bands and then all of a sudden you don't hear about them anymore. But on the other hand, there are other guys like yourself where you see their name pop up often with different projects all the time. It's like, what is that guy's secret to success? How does he land all those gigs? How come every time you turn around, there's Marco Mendoza's name mentioned with this musician or that band or this project or whatever? What's the secret to success?
there's no secret. There's no secret, bro. It's like anything in life. Reliability. You touched on it. You're reliable. Um, you're reliable. You deliver. You know, under any circumstances. Sometimes I've done a lot of projects where I'm laying in the back, man. They want me to just lay it down. No singing. No fronting the band. No being fine. Just lock in with the drummer and do. If I know that's a job and that's what I sign up for, that's great. Uh, and then, I mean, more and more, it's the opposite. People want me to be part of the front line, and because I'm a little bit of a ham, I enjoy the whole process of entertaining and really being out there, you know, and delivering a bit of an attitude, you know, playing aggressively when it's needed to. But the difference was, and the difference is a lot of problems out there with drugs and alcohol. That's part of it, of what's going on with the lifestyle. You know, I was strung out on heroin, cocaine, pills, and everything I could get my hands on until 1987, September 20th, which, you know, I just took 32 years, and I had a bad reputation. I started getting less and less and less calls, and because I would either show up late, I would show up unprepared. I wouldn't do any homework. It didn't matter to me. I was in it for the wrong reasons. I was just hanging. And then sometimes I wouldn't show up, or I would show up so loaded that I couldn't play anyway. So it's a very, when you really think about it, it's a very close knitted community of the people that are on top of it, you know, that are reliable, that are focused, they're delivering what they and they're taking care of business. And then there's the other side, the people that, you know, don't have any work ethic, they don't have any, you know, they don't care. They're in it for the wrong reason. They're in it for the party, which is great, man. I'm not judging anybody. I went through that. But when I realized I got sober and I realized what a gift it was, and what it is, and a privilege to be playing music and support yourself and raise a family and live like that. I gave it the importance that it needed, and it's a priority. When somebody calls me, I take pride that they're calling me. First of all, I'm very humbled at the calls that I started getting. Man, very young. I'm like, wow, this is a cat I used to go listen. I have his vinyl and I have his CDs and the bands, and then I start getting those calls. So I would prepare myself a lot. I do a lot of work. And I pride myself in bringing as closest to the finished product as possible as a bass player.
Right.
Most of the time, I get gigs because I can sing a little bit and a lot of background vocal jobs as well. And that got me more work than anything else, to be honest, But so that's what it is, man. You take pride in what you do. You show up on time. If they call you, they know you're going to get the job done. You're dependable. You're reliable, and you do it with a great attitude, and you have fun. People want to hang out with you. Hey, let's call what's his name? That I saw him with Ted Nugent. What's he doing? He's not there anymore. We need somebody like him. Let's call him. And now with social media and the internet, it's very easy to get in touch. It's amazing how, the world used to be much bigger. Now it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's just great, man. To be honest, Wendell, I'm blown away that at this point in my career, the amount of calls that I get and the offers, and it's just, I'm very, very, very grateful, man. I call it the attitude of gratitude,
Right.
And I'm blown away. So if you had a job for me, if I was a plumber and you had something go wrong with some kind of problems with your plumbing at home, and you called me and I showed up late, right? And I overcharged you and I had a bad attitude and I changed the schedule and I was a pain in the butt in the bigger picture. And then you say, well, I'm going to call this other cat. And then the other cat would show up on time, do it for a fraction of the cost with a great attitude. Who are you going to call back?
Right.
It's the same thing. The same
Right.
thing reflects in the music business.
Are
And the people that are serious, go ahead.
Are you familiar with the documentary The Wrecking Crew?
Yes, I loved it, man.
Well,
yeah.
I think you fit right into that whole mold of The Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, that and what was the other one, man? The recent one that a lot of my friends are on. I got approached to do that, and unfortunately, I couldn't fit it in. Uh, 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 Rudy Sarso and Kenny Arnoff and all the session cats, that have
Right.
been part of a lot of bands. I got a call for that when they were shooting, and for some reason, something was going on. I couldn't do it. But yeah, that's what it is. It's you have something to offer, and you got a job that you can deliver, and they call you and you deliver it. So next time it comes around again, they're going to call you again, and the word gets around. That's the other thing. Your reputation precedes you. So if you have bad reputation, chances are you're not going to be on top of the list. If you have a good reputation, you'll be one of the first cats that they call,
Right.
So
Absolutely.
without sounding pretentious, that's how it's been. It's like, wow, I'm going to be 85 years old here next month. And I'm not kidding you. I'm having a bit of a issue right now that I don't have management. I have an agent in Europe and a few agents that I'm talking to that help me with the bookings. But I'm having a bit of an issue juggling it all, organizing the whole thing, because yes, this is my business. This is how we support my family, and I have a couple of kids, younger kids, 16 and 12. They want to go to college, man. I'm looking
Sure.
at that.
Sure.
And I'm looking at, my wife and I retiring and all that. So I'm looking at that. There's a business side, but I'm starting to really make decisions based on the quality of the work. That's, now the creative, side of me wants to take priority as opposed to the dollar sign. And something will suffer somewhere along the way. The perfect place is to live in the middle if you can balance it like that. So I'm having a bit of an issue making decisions that are based on, how rewarding this project is going to be creatively, as opposed to how rewarding this project is going to be financially. You know what I mean?
Right.
So doing my solo thing, and we call it a solo thing because it's not a band. It's Marco Mendoza, and I recruit some of the best cats around. I'm very lucky and very blessed and privileged to know a lot of these cats that I work with. And it's my name. It falls on my shoulders. The success or the failure of it. It's on. So I try to do the best I can, whether there's 50 people or 300 or 3,000 or more, to deliver a show, deliver a message. And I pride myself to carry a message that's positive, man. I'm trying to do that, to kind of bring light into this world that tends to be getting darker and darker and darker. A little spark of light somewhere, hope. You know what I'm saying? To be optimistic about life as opposed to being pessimistic, and I know about that.
Right, of course.
It's harder for me to be optimistic than it is to be pessimistic. To be a pessimist, I could fall into that and be negative and complain about everything. Falling back to that attitude of gratitude in the mornings, wherever I wake up. This morning I woke up in Dallas. The gig last night was a complete success. Absolutely. From the agent to the club owner to the bands that opened it up for me, that supported, the friends, the fans. I signed for an hour. I was an hour and a half signing stuff and selling stuff. They were buying my vinyl, my shirts. I'm like, what a great gig, So this morning I woke up a little beat up. You can hear it too. Just a little beat up with 2-3 hours of sleep, if that, to hit the airport early to fly home. But it hit me, I'm like, today I'm going to be grateful, man. I'm going to be grateful that I had the opportunity to play my songs, deliver my message, with the help of, Jimmy DeGrasso, who's an unbelievable drummer, and Contralto Pecinato, who is also a great guitar player. So we had a great time, man. So I met my best. I'm talking a lot, huh? I met my best when I have that attitude of gratitude. When I hang out on that side of life,
right.
The optimistic side, the grateful, that when I'm grateful for where I live and who I am, and as opposed to waking up on the other side of the bed and go, oh wow, how come I'm not here? How come I'm not doing my show? Should be freaking thousands of people wanting to. I mean, thousands of people should come up to my show. Don't you know I'm the shit?
Right.
I have the music, and it's not about that. It's about the other side. It's about planting seeds, cultivating something that people might be interested in. To my surprise, people are interested. I just don't have the machine, like you said at the beginning, the big marketing promotional machine. So what's taking that place is us going out there and playing in front, playing in every gig possible to kind of spread the word. And that's what I'm doing,
Well,
and I come home with a few nuts, for the winter.
Sure.
I still gather a few nuts, and not a whole lot, but enough.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, if it really came down to it, and nobody would call me for whatever the reason, I hope not, I could probably support my family and live comfortably. I'm not flamboyant in any way, or fancy or schmancy or whatever, and support my family, man. So, everything's working. That's everything's falling into place, and it's good, man. It's a good gig. It's a good life. It's been a great journey,
Perfect. Well, I want to touch on the Dead Daisies here just a little bit.
I wondered when you were going to bring that up.
Well, it's no secret that there's been a shakeup in the band, and there's been changes made, and so on and so forth. And my partner Chris, he's like a major Dead Daisies fan. I like the band as well. we're big John Corabi fans. I'm a personal fan of yours as well as Doug Aldridge. And, you guys worked really hard. You mentioned that at the beginning of the interview here that, you worked really hard to make it what it is. And then all of a sudden there's this big change in direction, which again, we discussed this at length on the Classic Metal Show and wondered why and the ins and outs. And, my partner Chris and we've been involved with a lot of bands over the years, and we understand the politics and everything that goes on with that. But
I'm sure you do, brother. Yeah,
why mess with a successful formula? That's the whole question. Why mess with a successful formula?
There's a lot, my answers are from the inside. I was fortunate enough to meet David Lowy and to work with David Edwards Management from the beginning. I think they had one show with the Dead Daisies, the official Dead Daisies band, with another bass player in Australia. One show, and then I got approached. I was touring, and I got approached to be part of it, and I heard it, and it was like, wow, I really need to be part of this. So I've been there from the beginning, and I've seen it go. I've been part of the roller coaster ride, and it's been a roller coaster ride, and it's been a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of elbow grease coming from every side, including financially. There's, to make something like that happen that big, you've got to have the gasoline, the fuel for the engine, and I've been instrumental in kind of calling the cats and my buddies and my friends. I'm a big fan of John Corabi, so always have been and always will be. I love that cat, John. There's only one Corabi, one Krabby, man. So, and and Richard Fortas and Dizzy and John Stevens, the original singer, which is, I have to say, he's one of the reasons why I wanted to be part of this project. But there's no way to explain it in 5 minutes. The dynamics that happen in every possible way. There is a business side. There's personalities. There's issues with you have the point cat, that has the vision, the bigger vision. In every band, there's always 1-2 people that are guiding the ship, the boat. And I felt like, and it was in the camp, we felt like we had reached a plateau, which was all of last year, and it was our 5th album or whatever. And we felt like, okay, we've kind of maxed out. We saturated the market available to us. We were having a blast. We became a family, and everything that comes with it. The arguments and the people bumping their heads and the egos and people getting hurt and all that. It's a family. And then you get over all that, and then you get up on stage, and it's all about the common denominators. Put on the best show possible and record the best songs and the best music possible. At the end of the day, there's a bottom line. And I think we had reached every possible level that we could reach with that lineup. And the work ethic needed to continue was heavy, man. Really heavy. I mean, to the point where it's like physically, we're not young cats. Physically, you can only go so far. And it was very demanding where we needed to go. Had we been, in our 30s or 20s, we would probably have more energy. But anyway, it got to the point where people needed to make changes and bailed, and that created that gap. And it kind of took, you have the engine, then one of the pistons goes, and all of a sudden, okay, it's not, so you take a few steps back and you start looking at this year, which is 19. Where are we going to go? Where are we going? What are we doing? John had made a decision to move on, and it was mutual. It was amicable. Everybody was cool. It's what it is. And then, so we had to take a few steps back and look at, okay, so now what are we going to do? So there were some opportunities to approach a couple of situations with singers and people that would take that spot. And it didn't work, at least where we thought we could go. uh, in March, April, I get the call that there's an opportunity to work with Glenn Hughes, and I'm a friend of Glenn's,
Yeah,
and I'm a big fan of Glenn's,
sure,
and
absolutely.
I have the utmost respect for that cat, man. He's a sober friend of mine, and I'm a fan of his singing. As a human being, he's always been absolutely a great guy with me. And so the opportunity came up, and I'm like, I had to, be realistic about the situation and go, well, what would be best for the project, to move forward? And I thought, I agreed. This is a good move. So I'm going to take my nuts, I'm going to take my ball and, and walk away and open the spot for Glenn to come in and sing and play. Uh, you know, and I believe that they're going to come up with some great stuff and they're going to take this to the next level. Absolutely. There's going to be doors opening up that wouldn't open the other way for us for whatever the reason. I think people are going to be curious. I'm curious. I already heard some of the stuff. I heard some stuff that's killer. Uh, and I'm going, cool. On the other hand, I was also given the opportunity to do what I'm doing, my solo stuff. I have a few other projects in the can right now that we can't really talk about, who's involved and what they are, but something pretty amazing, okay, that we will announce sooner or later. So I think in my gut, I was also ready to take the next step and move on, sideline, and keep, you know, keep passing the ball to get that, that score, man. Uh, so um, so it was a mutual agreement. I got the phone call and we started discussing it, and I said, absolutely, man, that's a good idea. So it is what it is, and I think along with you, a lot of people, a lot of fans are waiting to see what's gonna go down, and I'm absolutely positive it's going to be a good move, and it's headed in the right direction, and it's going to continue the legacy of the Dead Daisies, the journey of the Dead Daisies,
Right.
you know, uh, and I'm curious. I want to see what the guys do. I mean, you got Doug Aldrich there, who's an amazing. What can
Yeah.
I say about Doug? He's a brother. I'm a big fan. He's reached one of those legendary status as a guitar player
And
around the
you've played with them in Whitesnake. I
White
actually
Snake.
I actually hung out with both you and Doug at the Allstate
Yeah,
Arena at the same time. So
yeah, we had a blast. I love that guy. We have fun. We know how to have fun and enjoy life. And he's a dad. He's a husband. So am I. We have a lot of things. We've grown together. We've experienced a lot of the business, the good and the bad, and we've had some of the same experiences. So I have the utmost respect, and the guy can throw down, man. That's it. Bottom line. As far as writing and playing, and look at, he looks amazing. I mean, he's got the whole thing, the whole package. Sings, writes, plays, la la la. So you got him. And now you got Dean Casanova, who joined the band last year, who also every chance I see him and I talk to him, I said, Dean, you're one of the most talented cats on the planet in my book, bruh. That you sing unbelievable. You play. There's nothing that cat can't do, and he loves what he does with a passion. And so you have that, and then you have David Louis, who's the founder, the original founder, and he's the power behind the whole thing with management with David Edwards, and you have Glenn Hughes who's going to come in and kill it. So I'm very confident they're gonna throw down and come up with some cool stuff, man.
sure.
And so it's a little bit of a change. Um, I'm really excited for myself. I can't really talk about it. We want to really announce it, and maybe we'll, give me a shout when you hear what's going on, as soon as you can. We're probably going to announce something towards the end of the year, but I'm excited for me and the opportunities that are opening up for me in my career, and challenging, but very rewarding too, musically, creatively, and otherwise. So it's life, man. It's the roller coaster, and I mean, if you look at my career, how can I complain, man? I've been part of some amazing stuff, and the Dead Daisies included. So I put 5.5, almost 6 years there, and it was great. We took it. I was part of establishing that band to where it is today. I'm very proud of that. You know what I'm saying? And I did everything I could in my power. I gave it 100, 110%, in any way I could, to bring it to where it was. And then things changed, like life changes, and then you have to take a right, and take a left and take that bridge over there. And so here we are. It's like, it's a new day, and I'm very, honestly, Wendell, I'm very, very excited. I think you can hear it and you can see it. I'm very excited about what's going on in my career and what's going to happen here in the next year or so, 2 years. Some great stuff,
Right.
And the other thing,
but the thing is that you're very resilient and resourceful. And again, the most important part of all of this, outside of your talent and the experience and the what you've had is and I try to emphasize this on the Classic Metal Show. It's the alcohol and the drugs. I mean, that is always the biggest downfall of most everyone, is the alcohol and the drugs. And
yes,
when a guy is sober and can exercise his talents and be resourceful and be dependable, they're always going to have the opportunity to make an income.
Yeah, and because man, because you know what to do and how to do it and how to deliver what you need to do. So I've had that opportunity, and I don't want to waste it away. I was given that opportunity to kind of get my life together, and no complaints from me, man. But it is a problem, and actually, it's more of a problem than we realize today. I could count in both hands how many people I've lost in the past years, people that I know personally, because of drugs and alcohol, man. I could go down the list and name quite a few names that we all know. Unfortunately, it's a disease. It's out of hand, out of control, and right now, don't get me started about pharmaceuticals. That's another interview, right?
Of course.
But that's a big part of the problem. So it is what it is, man. To be a musician and to make a living for playing music and to realize what a privilege it is, that kind of keeps you. I'm moving around because my battery's getting low, so I came out of the outside and plug it in. Excuse me here, but so yeah, you realize how lucky you are to be doing what you're doing, and I respect it. Prince, I saw him in I don't know what it was, years ago. Prince, to name a big name about somebody that as a result of pharmaceuticals is gone. Come on. He said something about respecting the music, what you do, who you are as a musician, as an artist. It's very important. So I try to deal with it like that. It's a gift, it's a privilege, and I deal with it like that, and I respect it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of cats out there that are struggling with that issue. I try to. I don't preach, bro. I try to just represent, I try to walk the walk. I don't like to talk too much about it, but it is a problem out there. And it's mind-blowing how many cats have approached me and wanting to talk about it because, I have a little bit of a reputation out there of being the sober guy, 32 years now. And I've had the privilege of helping or talking to cats that are looking for the answer, and I kind of show them a little bit of a direction and show them the way, what I did anyway. And I've made a lot of friends that way, and I've lost a lot of friends that way. People I was talking to that couldn't pull it off. We're not ready. So it is a big problem, unfortunately. But what can I tell you? We can do what we can do in our own little way. But A lot of talented folks, man. A lot in the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Out of control. What are you gonna do?
Right.
So I take that in under consideration. And yeah, like I told you, I woke up this morning in Dallas, and I'm going, wow. Uh, Very lucky, man. An attitude of gratitude. Just it's abundant. So like that, man. Yeah.
Well, Marco,
I have my family here going. We got to go have dinner.
all right. Well,
Sorry, man.
to wrap this up real quick, what do you want to tell the fans real quick about your Viva La Rock release and, kind of sum it all up for us here?
Well, I just want to say, if you're very curious, I'm very proud of this album. I have to say, check it out. Go to marcomendoza.com. It's available in all the, formats, everything out there, social media, Spotify, Amazon, the whole thing. It's released through Target and Mighty Music, which is a label out of Denmark, and they're doing a great job. And, Soren Anderson producing, co-writing and singing and playing. I have Richard Fortes, who I got lucky enough to come and play a track on. It got him just before he left GNR, South American tour. Some of my friends, man, Mike Tramp is singing on the track there too. So it's a fun project. It's full of some good songs with some good messages behind. And we got to do another interview because I've got to fill you in on this Rocket Man song, where it came from. It's a little dark, but there's a story there. Support it. Not only support me, support live music.
Right.
If you don't watch it, folks, the venues are going to disappear. They start closing down. It's been happening here in LA. And I hate to think of a world without venues like that for, up and coming bands to play, man, and develop their skills and write songs and music and continue the thing, that we do.
Absolutely.
So support live music whenever possible. Go check out Viva La Rock. And if you're in Europe, I'm coming. So hopefully stop by, see a show. I promise you we will have a great time, and that's my job, and I think I've been delivering that. So come and check it out, and thank you, Wendell, for your time, brother. I really appreciate it.
All right, well, go check it out. It's Marco Mendoza, Viva La Rock, and what should we end this interview there with, Marco, from this new release?
What song? There's so many songs. I love them. I was listening to the album, but for some reason, and I just got chills, Let It Flow, which is the last track on the album, Let It Flow. It's not your hard rocking, but the message means a lot to me. It's about dealing with life and how you deal, how you deal with life outside within yourself, and just let things roll off of you and just remember who you are and all that stuff. So it's a good track, Let It Flow. There's so many. Viva La Rock, of course, Sweetest Emotions, Rocket Man, Sue's on the Run, Love to You, and so on and so forth. But let's do Let It Flow. Absolutely.
All right. Well, perfect.
Okay?
All right. Well, pick up the new Marco Mendoza, Viva La Rock, and here it is. It's Let It Flow exclusively here on your Classic Metal Show. All right.